أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رضي الله تعالى عن السادة التابعين وعلماء العاملين وأئمة الأربعة المجتهدين ومقلدين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته everyone. Alhamdulillah. Samira, sound check.
Assalamu alaikum.
Again.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah. How do I sound?
Considering this Gambian network, your video is breaking up. It's buffering a lot.
Video buffering a lot?
Yes.
Subhanallah. Where is it buffering from? The StreamYard, YouTube, or the Facebook? Or
all of them.
All of them? Subhanallah. Network no good. Fatima said, LOL, I feel a joke coming on here. I really need y'all to give me feedback on the quality, because if it's that bad, I'm not going to do it. But if it's passable, we continue. So Fatima says that.
Fatima just being nice. It's breaking up. She's just being nice.
Fatima being nice?
Yeah, she's being nice.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Kumi, Fatima, the other Fatima, Yahya, Zakaria, Imad, Udayfa, Hakeem, Khadija. Net no bueno. Net no good. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Isa. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Maryam. Alhamdulillah. Hey, I need some more feedback about this video quality. Video and audio. If it ain't no good, then
Let's just do it the way we did it before. You just call me, and I'll just have your voice on.
See, today is the review day. This is going to be kind of hard. Zachariah says it's fun. He didn't say nothing about how it looks. He said it sounds fine.
They don't want you to go.
And also, remember, I got a ceiling fan running above it. Wa alaikum salam, Abdullah, Black Steel. Wa alaikum salam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Fatima just being nice.
Now,
we can try to work through it. What you say?
I said you breaking up a little bit. Your voice sounds choppy.
Nah, that ain't me. That's you.
Well, see, Fatima recognized. See? She said, I look good in my black man's round table t-shirt. See? See, don't stop just because we go across the Atlantic. We still represent the black round table. Alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Rahim and Farouk. Zachariah said the video is just like dial-up, but I can hear it just fine.
Try to mute your.
You have met.
Try to stop your camera and see if your voice is fine. Try that. and just talk.
Does it sound a little bit better? But everyone's saying they hear me just fine.
Yeah,
The
you're
video
fine.
that
It's
looks
just the
crazy.
video. Yeah, the video look crazy. So just talk like that.
Just talk like this?
Yeah, talk like this. Yes, inshallah.
Well, why should I just talk like this? Everyone said that they heard me just fine. It was you the only one that was having a problem. See,
You still
you just don't
breaking
want
up.
people to see. You just don't want people to see my Black Imams Roundtable T-shirt. That's what it is.
Okay, if you want to be sitting there chicka chicka and all that, like my children say chicka chicka on the video, then go ahead. You are welcome to chicka chicka.
Brianna said yes, much better.
Yeah, your voice is fine. It's just the video is jacked up. It's janky.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brianna. And Fatima said you put a virtual niqab on. She thought she was sick with it. She couldn't wait till I got over here where the network no good. I can cut off the camera. Your wife is flagging me. I said network no good, and she flagging me. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I thank all of you for coming on once again for class, and for bearing with us with our technical difficulties. See, I don't know really what the problem is, because I posted about it earlier, and a lot of us probably can't relate to it. But in Africa, like, I just give you an example. The last time I was here in 2016 during the presidential election, they cut off most of the internet. Like, you could call people on your phone, but you
Get out my
couldn't.
phone.
And everybody heard you scream and tell everybody to get out the room too, by the way. See, she's ghetto, y'all. Anyway, you about to say something?
Sorry about that. I didn't know I was unmuted.
Yeah, you was unmuted.
Everybody heard
See
my
what I'm
big
dealing
mouth?
with, y'all? See how ghetto she is? You have a
No,
ghetto reader.
rough around the edges. Get it right. Not ghetto.
Jagged.
Rough around the edges. Oh,
See, rough
jagged.
is a
Okay.
level. Rough is a level, and then you have jagged. You jagged. Jagged edges. Oh, yeah. So during 2016, they actually shut down the internet. And a lot of us don't realize that these governments have the ability to do that easily. And they don't have to shut down all internet. Sometimes they shut down certain apps. Sometimes they'll shut Facebook. Sometimes they shut down Twitter. Sometimes they don't shut it down all the way. Sometimes they shut it down enough where you can do a live video, or you can't, make an audio or anything like that. A lot of us don't realize how much control they have over these things, because a lot of times, like in Europe and America, they let us use it freely without hassle. And so he said, "Jacket to shit." Anyway, so especially if you pay attention to international news, you see in many countries where the country will, shut down or throttle YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or WhatsApp or something. And so, being that I arrived on Saturday evening, which was election day, things get real hectic during election time. So a lot of times they mess with the internet. So being that I arrived on election day, I don't know if this is some election day shenanigans or just the regular state of the internet service that I have. And just to inform you, the election here went, they say, peaceful. But just before we logged on, I saw a report that the opposition party's supporters were protesting on in front of near the opposition party's house in Ottawa. His house is near the U.S. Embassy, and they were protesting because a lot of people feel that there was some cheating in the election, and they said the police came with tear gas. So, they were still updating the news. But in any case, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen, we are going to try to do the best we can, inshallah. So before we actually begin, let's recite Al-Fatiha, the soul of Shehu Uthman Ibn Muhammad Ibn Uthman, known as Dan Fodiyo. Ameen. All right, Samira, so what I'm going to ask you to do is to read from page 14 all the way through point number 10 at the top of page 15, inshallah. And I may in every now and then to throw in some review questions, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما الحمد لله وكفى والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected shaitan. May Allah bless our master, Sayyidina Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, companions, and give them peace. All praise is due to Allah, for He is sufficient for us. Peace be upon His slaves, whom He has chosen, as to what follows. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to everyone. And wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone that has given the greetings. We're on page 14, the top of 14 of Umdat ul-Bayaan. Bismillah. He, the Most High, is number 4, unlike and separate from end-time creation. Mukhalif lil hawadith. And the proof of his difference and separation from end-time creation is his omnipotent power over its creation.
Review question number 1. What is the textual proof for this attribute right here that she just read? What is the textual proof for it? You can either type in the English, the Arabic, or just give me the chapter number and the verse number. It's all good. Inshallah. So I'll wait for y'all to answer that. And then when y'all answer that, I have a follow-up question. And while I'm waiting for you all to type in there, I just want to remind us, alhamdulillah, that Imam Ameen, you know, most of you that are in this class, you also in Imam Ameen's class during the post-Fajr reflection, where he is teaching the summary of Imam Ghazali's Ihya Ulumuddin. And he's in the section of Creed, Aqeedah. So this is a blessing if you've been following us in this class, because the last book we covered, which is this one right here. I'll turn on my camera for a second. This book right here, Tanbih al-Ikhwan, advice to the brothers regarding the permissibility of women attending the gatherings for the sake of learning, the individual obligations of the Deen of Allah, the Most High, Most Merciful. If you all remember that, he literally ended the book by saying, he quoted Imam Ghazali, and it took up about a page. And then he said, this is the end of his, meaning Imam Ghazali's statement, and with that we end the book, right? And then move right into this book written by Shehu Uthman Dan Fodiyo. And here it is at the same time, we're learning another book. We're learning the same book that the Shehu quoted from, Ihya Ulumuddin. And he's in the section of Aqeedah now, and we're in the section of Aqeedah. Alhamdulillah. And by the way, the Shehu is a Ghazaliite. I just made that word up. He's a lover, and he drinks from the well of knowledge that Imam Ghazali brought, and you can see it all over all of his works. Alhamdulillah. So, only two that answered was Isa and Zakaria, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Laysa kamithlihi shay. Which means, and there is nothing like him, which is chapter 42, verse 11. Chapter 42, verse 11. That means there's nothing like him. So that was the answer to my question. What is the textual proof for that particular attribute of Allah? My next question is, how do you say textual proof in Arabic? How do you say textual proof in Arabic? I don't know, Abdurrahim. I just made that up on the fly. What I say, Ghazaliite? Obviously, that's a good thing. Now, we don't do something knuckle, right, Brianna? You gotta come with the exact terminology. Only exact terminology over here. Knuckle something, I can't remember. Isa and Farouk. Only thing I'd say is that I believe I gave it to you all, with definite articles on both. So not a big deal, but ad-dalil and naqli, ad-dalilun naqli, textual proofs. Okay, next question. With all of these attributes, what type of proof is the Shehu giving? Give it to me in English. What type of proof is the Shehu giving for all of these attributes? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nadim and Hassan Ali. Intellectual proofs. Isa, alhamdulillah. What's another way to say that? In English, intellectual proofs. What's another way we can say that? In English. What's another way to say intellectual proofs in English? Common sense? Nah. Rational proofs. Alhamdulillah, Farouk. Rational proofs. Either which one is good. Okay, how do you say intellectual or rational proofs in Arabic? Isa, Dalil al-Aqli. Dalil al-A-L, Aqli. That's the only little minor correction I give you, Isa. After the word Dalil, A-L, Aqli. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Isa. Abdullah Isa. Okay, keep reading the mirror.
Bismillah.
Hold on for a minute. I'm right here, Abdullah Isa. It's just that network no good here. By the way, Samira, how do I look now? Still toe up?
You look like you frozen in time.
Frozen in time? Like I'm popping? Okay.
Bismillah. He, the Most High, is 5, entirely self-sufficient, Ganiyu, beyond place and designation. And the proof of his self-sufficiency beyond place is the impossibility of place being described by attributes of meaning and of meaningfulness. And the proof of his self-sufficiency beyond designation is the permanence of his before timeness, Kidamihi. You want me to continue?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. He, the Most High, is 6, 1, Wahid. And the proof of his oneness is the order, harmony, and systematic arrangement of created things. He, the Most High, is number 7, omnipotent, Qadir. And the proof of his omnipotence is his power to bring into existence created things. He, the Most High, is number 8, has will, Murid. And the proof of his will is the different varieties and diversities in created things. He, the Most High, is 9, all-knowing, Alim. And the proof of his knowledge is the perfection and precision in all things. He, the Most High, is number 10, ever-living, Hay. And the proof of his living is the impossibility of the dead being able to do or perform anything.
Alhamdulillah. 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 So my next review question to you all is, when it comes to the attributes of Allah, what are the names of the 2 permissible ways to approach those attributes? I'll repeat. When it comes to the names or attributes of Allah, what are the names or the titles of the 2 permissible ways to approach those names and attributes of Allah? I see one answer. I see 2 answers. Uh-oh. I see a little hate coming your way, Issa. Adisa talked about Peniac already answered. Issa, the next question, you're going to have to slow down. Watch, you don't answer, they ain't going to answer either. Alhamdulillah. Issa and Abdurrahim are correct. Tafweed and Ta'weel. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nathar. Alhamdulillah. My next question is, what is Tafweed? What is Tafweed? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sufyan. See, Issa ain't saying that because Anissa had a whole lot to say the last time he said something. So we're gonna wait to see if Anissa answers. What is Tafweed? So you done messed up now. You waited, Anissa. You waited till Sufyan came in. Sufyan is another brainiac. You ain't know. See, Lisa took all that time to come with that one little sentence, right? Sufyan typed in the paragraph. He just got here. Sufyan said, Tafweed, method of madhab of the Salaf, in reference to mutashabih verses or hadith. Recite the attribute in Arabic, affirm the attribute, negate any resemblance to creation, negate modality, negate the literal meaning that does not befit Allah, while leaving the true meaning to Allah. Man, that's a complete answer. We're going to leave that right up there for a minute. I'm going to read what you all said. Because Sufyan, see, he's one of the sharp guys. See, his answer is giving me more questions to ask you. Issa said, Anissa said, the denial of unbefitting characteristics of Allah. Well, that answer's right, but that's the same. I could say the same thing for Ta'weel. Issa said, Tafweed is affirming the attribute of Allah Ta'ala, leaving the real meaning to Allah, and negating any non-befitting meaning. That's correct. Alhamdulillah. Anissa said, I'm still learning. Now, that's not acceptable, Anissa. We all still learning. She said, I don't copy and paste. Anissa, hot. Abdurrahim said, to confirm it, recite it, and leave it in the revealed language, but not ascribing not befitting attributes to. I can't type that fast. I'm a computer pecker. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Well, you good. I understood you. Alhamdulillah. Okay, let's go back to what Sufyan said. It's on the board. Alhamdulillah. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Miss Joanne.
You skipped the answer.
Huh?
You skipped someone.
Who did I skip?
Neither.
Oh, my bad. Affirming Allah's attribute without interpretation. Yeah, that's correct. The answer he gave this morning in Imam Ameen's class is a little bit more correct, though. So you didn't think I was watching because I was over here. Right? What he said is correct, though, without interpretation. This morning, he broke it down into 3 parts. He mentioned the affirmation. He mentioned without interpretation or giving it any meaning. And he mentioned negating any non-befitting meaning. So a lot of times, sometimes things are better or easier, not necessarily better, but sometimes things are easier if you can remember a number. And so I wish I could copy and paste his answer from this morning. It will simplify it for a lot of people. But number one, affirming Allah's attribute, not interpreting it. And when we say not interpreting it, we including in that statement, not giving it any meaning, not translating it to any language or anything. Just leave it, right? Basically saying Allah meant what he meant, and we know what he meant, and that's it. He meant what he meant. We don't know what he meant. So that would be two. And number three, negating any non-befitting meaning. And this is a beautiful way to remember things. This is why Ameen represents something, 5 represents something, and the second 3 represents something. And this is all a methodology that Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu that he used. There's a narration where he was with an army. My memory is foggy. I don't remember if this happened during the lifetime of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I believe so, but it could have been during his khilafah. But a Bedouin came to him. The Bedouin came, and he basically said, "Yo, you're like a real smart, intelligent dude, man. Can you give me some beneficial knowledge that I ain't gonna forget? Don't get too heavy for me because I can't remember too much. So you feel simple for me, right?" And Abu Bakr said, "How many fingers you got?" He was like, 5. He said, "So if I give you one thing for each finger, you remember them?" He was like, "Yeah." So he basically gave him 5 advices, and they almost basically correspond to the 5 pillars of Islam. Right? So numbers is real beneficial in helping to remember certain things. So with this methodology of tafweed, remember those 3 things. Affirm, don't interpret, and negate. And of course, we can expound and break it down like our brother Sufyan did that we have on the screen, right? But that's really what it boils down to. Affirming the attribute of Allah, not giving it any sort of interpretation whatsoever, even in the Arabic language. And definitely not translating, right? And number 3, negating any non-befitting meaning. So I still have what Sufyan wrote on the screen because he mentioned the word mutashabih. And we talked about this word before. Does anybody know what that word means? Mutashabih. A which said allegorical. Alhamdulillah. I'm waiting for more answers. That answer is correct. I'm waiting for more answers. Anybody got another way to say that? Mālikī rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Umar. Sufyan said ambiguous. That's also correct. Abdul Rahim said those who like Allah's creation. I see where you're getting it mixed up. Same root word, but you would have to take the T-A out of it. Mushabbah. No. same root word, but different form of the same word. Nathar said figures of speech. That's another good way of saying it. It's another good way of saying it. The word we're looking for is the word that we have on the screen that our brother Sufyan provided us with, mutashabih. Anisa said, mutashabih verses are those that are not clear and could have a different meaning. Correct. Or those words that hold more than one meaning. I don't know about that, Abdurrahim. The reason why I say I don't know, because all words hold more than one meaning, especially if you change the context. How about this also? We can add to the list. Non-literal. Non-literal. Where did Sufyan get this word from? That's the next question. Where did Sufyan get this word from? We mentioned it, I don't know if it was last week or maybe even the week before. That word comes from somewhere. That concept comes from somewhere. Where does it come from? Do any of you remember? One person answered so far. Anybody can give me the verse number. Alhamdulillah. Surah 3, verse 7. Allah mentions in there that some verses are something and other verses are mutashabih. What is the opposite of mutashabih according to that verse? What is the Arabic word that Allah uses? Muhkam. Alhamdulillah. What does that word mean? Muhkam. Allah says some verses are muhkam, like Allah uses as another put it, muhkamat, because he uses the plural. Right? Some verses are mutashabihat. What does muhkam or muhkamat mean? Literal meaning. So some verses Allah says are literal, and some verses are mutashabih, or are from among the mutashabihat. So some translations, as Isa put it, clear, wish mentioned, foundational, literal, all of that is correct. In other words, some verses, the thing that comes to your mind, the primary meaning of the word is what it's meant. And other verses aren't like that, meaning the literal meaning is not what is meant. So these attributes of Allah who that share the name with creation have meanings that are different. In other words, these same words would mean something different when and if applied to creation. Last week, what word did we use as an example for an exercise with this whole discussion of tafweed and ta'wil? What was it last week? My days are all running into each other. Anybody remember the word that we used? As an example, we took a word. Last week, we took a word as an example of how tafweed and ta'wil are practiced. And we picked that word from one verse in the Quran where that word is attributed to Allah. And we did tafweed and we did ta'wil. And then we took the same word in the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we gave an example of how scholars did ta'wil with that same word in another context, the context of that hadith. Right, the word yed. What is the muhkam meaning of the word yed? What is the muhkam meaning of the word yed? Hand. Exactly. And the humans, it means hand, hand at the end of a limb. Hand up to the shoulder. You know, that's a beautiful thing that Sister Kali, Khadijah, is hinting to. Just to digress a little bit. You know, there's difference of opinion on where the end of the hand is. We just take it for granted that the hand begins at the fingertips and stops at the wrist. There's a difference of opinion regarding that. The reason why the scholars differ is because if you look in the verse in Surah Ma'idah, chapter number 5, the verse that obligates making wudu, everything has a proof in Islam that we're commanded to do or prohibited from doing. So when you learn the proofs behind the obligation of making wudu, you're going to come to a verse in the beginning of Surah Ma'idah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, وَأَقْسِلُوا أَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى كَعْبَيْنِ. Wash your hands up to the elbows. And so scholars look at that verse differently. Some scholars say that the hand is the whole arm. Allah tells you to only wash the hand, meaning the arm, only up to the elbow, not the whole arm, or not the whole yed. Some scholars say that the yed begins at the fingertips and goes to the elbows. And some scholars say that the yed, or the hand, is what most of us think it is, that it starts at the fingertips and goes to the wrist. And in this verse, Allah is just telling us to extend the wiping past the yed up into the kabain, up into the elbows. So you can see just how a verse of the Quran is worded. And we're not even thinking that deep, but our scholars are thinking way deeper than we think. So even in Islam, the scholars differ on the length or how much of the arm is included in the technical definition of the yed. Most of us speaking English, when we think of yed or hand, we think of fingertips to the wrist. The scholars differ on that. As we just said, some say it goes all the way up to the elbow, to the shoulder. Say to the elbow, and some say to the wrist. So add that on top of the fact that some people say that Yadullah, Yed, when it's attributed to Allah, is literal. So then you add that to the fact that you're not even sure how much of Yed are you attributing to Allah. A hand as we know it, a forearm as we know it, or the whole arm. Now, baby crying. Alhamdulillah. My next question to you all is, when we do ta'wil, when I say we, I'm referring to Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And we've given examples where the Salaf, and let me stop right there. Let me go back. We did a class, and I don't think it was last week, it may have been the week before. And I illustrated to you all where one example of where people from the Salaf did ta'wil. Ta'wil, right? Matter of fact, I'm getting ahead of myself. I can ask you about ta'wil. So let's scratch that question too. Okay. So we talked about tafweed, right? Right. The second way to deal with these attributes of Allah is ta'wil. What is ta'wil? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Abdul Kareem. The question is, what is ta'wil? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Malika. Uh-oh. Do Kareem coming through on the Facebook and the YouTube streams. Malika said, figurative interpretation of Allah's attributes. Take the words, look at possible meanings, and select those befitting. Okay, I'll rock with that. But I need someone to get a little bit more specific. Farouk said, ta'wil, affirm the attribute, free Allah from being like his creation. Okay, you mentioned 2 points. They're both correct. Ibrahim says, give meanings to the Arabic words with the condition that they don't like Allah's creation, and by giving only benefiting meanings. Okay. Anissa said, negating non-befitting attributes. Zachariah said, ta'wil is when a scholar appropriately explains the possible meaning of an attribute. Okay, I'm going to put this up there. I like that. I like what Zachariah said because he mentioned what you all mentioned, but he mentioned the scholar, doesn't? And that's important because unless there's a scholar listening or watching and I don't see, most of us ain't scholars. So it's not our job to do that. It's the job of the scholars. So let's break this down. You can break this down also into three, just like tafweed. Can someone break it down into three? You all gave the answer already. I just want somebody to break it down. 1, 2, 3. Just like we did tafweed. And I'll read what Sufyan said. Wait a minute. I thought I did it already. Affirm the attribute, negating any unfitting likeness to Allah. Scholars give possible meanings supported by context, language, etc. Boom, he already did it. So if you see what we said about tafweed, right? Only one thing changes. With tafweed, meaning we're not even worrying about the meaning. Allah means what he meant, and that's that. You're not interpreting, translating, nothing. With ta'wil, take that part of it out and put in scholars give possible meaning supported by context, language, etc. So tafweed and ta'wil have two things in common. Number one, in both instances, we're affirming the attribute. And in both instances, we're negating any unbefitting likeness to creation. With tafweed, we're not even worried about the meaning. Allah means what he meant. That's it, khalas. And that also means we're not translating, we're not giving nothing. We're just leaving the word as it is and we keep moving. Not even thinking about what it means. Not even trying to figure it out. But with ta'wil, scholars give possible meaning supported by context, language, etc. So if you can remember these three different points with tafweed and ta'wil, it should be easier for you. Let's see with what Sufyan said. Method of the khalaf, ta'wil, is specific figurative interpretation which assigns a detailed meaning to the attribute of Allah that is befitting based on the Quran, Sunnah, and Ijma'. Ta'wil is to interpret a befitting meaning that corresponds with the Arabic language and the rules of religion while negating likeness of creation to Allah. Please note that ta'wil is a possible meaning proposed by scholars regarding an attribute of Allah based on the common off. For instance, the Arabic word yed has a few meanings. Since taking the literal meaning is impossible for Allah, it is required to do ta'wil. Alhamdulillah. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Anisa. Affirm, negate, scholar supported meaning. Yep, real simple. Tafweed, we stop. Ta'wil, we select according to scholars. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our brother CASHAPP, Albuquerque, doing big things out there. Alhamdulillah. May Allah reward you for coming through. Alhamdulillah. Okay, I had a few other questions for y'all. The next question I have for you all is, did the Salaf do ta'wil? Did the Salaf do ta'wil? Isa said yes. Who agrees with Isa? The Rahim said yes. Not a lot. Malika said yes. Yahya said yes. Baruch said yes. Mariam said yes. Sufyan said yes. Nathar said not sure. Anissa said no because I don't know the answer and I choose to be different. Kashif said yes. Okay, the answer is yes. I gave an example, and I don't think it was last week. It might have been a week before, of an example where top wheel was done on a verse of an attribute of Allah that's mentioned in a verse of Quran. Does anybody remember that exercise and what attribute it was? Does anybody remember? A week, approximately a week ago, maybe a little bit more. I gave you an example of aha. See, y'all be getting mad when these will be answering, but y'all be taking all year. 28, verse 28. Now, this is an assignment for y'all. Y'all don't have to do it right now. But if you look on screen, Isa remembers the example that we gave. Surah 28, verse 88. Surah 28 is Surah Qasas. Verse 88 is the last ayat of that chapter. If you go to Sahih Bukhari, you know Sahih Bukhari, the English translation, English Arabic translation that most of us are familiar with, it comes in 9 volumes. If you remember, we were having a class, and there were some brothers in the masjid with me, and they went and grabbed Sahih Bukhari off the shelf while I was teaching class. And if you look in the book of Tafsir in Sahih Bukhari, right? So let me put this in here. Bukhari. Book. Tafsir. 2088. I forget which volume the book of Tafsir is in Sahih Bukhari. My mind is saying 4 or 5 or something, but I forgot that fast. But a few things came out Two things will come out to you when you look at it. When you get to the tafsir of Surah Al-Qasas, which is chapter number 8, Allah mentions this verse right here. Said, everything will be destroyed. I'm just mentioning part of the verse that's important for us. Everything will be destroyed except his wajh. Wajh, when it applies to creation, means face. At least is one of the meanings. Obviously, according to the Sunnah, this is inappropriate to attribute to. So, don't translate it as face. Obviously, if we were doing ta'wil, we would just say what you like to and keep reading. But if we're doing ta'wil, a meaning is assigned to by the scholars. When you turn to your English translation of Bukhari, the book of Tafsir, and you see this entry right here, you're going to see, and the translations that we have the Arabic right there and the English right there. You're going to see the verse translated. It's going to say the face of Allah, or it's going to say his continents, right? There's going to be about 3 sentences that they left untranslated. There's going to be about 3 sentences that they left untranslated. And the first word that they left untranslated is where Imam Bukhari himself does ta'wil. And he said the meaning of wajh in this verse is his kingdom or dominion, mulkahu. Now, we're saying it slow like this, so maybe some of you are watching this video or will watch it later, and you can get out Sahih Bukhari, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And in the masjid, we had, I think, one or two different translations of Sahih Bukhari. We had the Daughter Fiqh, English Arabic translation, which is the exact same thing as my Muhsin Khan Arabic English translation at home, which was the exact same translation. I forget who published it, whatever, that I pulled up on my screen when we were doing it. And they all do the same thing. They all leave out where Imam Bukhari made ta'wil. But he wasn't the only one that made ta'wil that particular ayat. If you keep reading, he quotes Mujahid. Who knows who Mujahid is or was? Does anyone know who Mujahid was? So Imam Bukhari gives his ta'wil on white. And he quotes Mujahid. Who's Mujahid? The student of Abdullah ibn Abbas. He's a student of Abdullah ibn Abbas. And you know they say when Mujahid says something, it's like 99.9% of the time he got it directly from Abdullah ibn Abbas. And so I think it was Abdul Rahim earlier in the comments that he forgot the name of the Sahaba who it was mentioned did ta'wil. We know for a fact Abdullah ibn Abbas did ta'wil. We know his student Mujahid did ta'wil. If Abdullah ibn Abbas is a Sahabi, Mujahid is a Tabi'i, which means they are clear from among the Salaf. Bukhari himself, ta'wil. So going back to the question that I asked you all before, yes, the Salaf did ta'wil. My next question, the Wahhabis, the ones who now call themselves Salafi, when we do ta'wil, what do they consider that? When we do ta'wil, what do they consider that? Isa answered again, denying the attributes of Allah. They say there's no interpretation. Your interpretation is, in fact, denying the attributes of Allah. That's very important, because when we get into discussions with our people, and I hope we don't get into arguments, right? They want to argue, we just walk away. But if we're really trying to learn, right, and you start giving the ta'wil of the scholars, they consider that denying the attribute altogether. You have to know that. And so I remind you of that just to show you. And by the way, I didn't find that they left that out. We learned that a couple of years ago in Atlantic City, and Imam Ameen Muhammad, he mentioned that and showed that example. This goes to show you that our corrupt belief in Allah has been planned, has been orchestrated by means of corrupt and sinister translations of the sacred text. They are against ta'wil. They say you're denying Allah's attributes by doing ta'wil. And in the same breath, they Bukhari, Muslim, Bukhari, Muslim, Bukhari. Then Imam Bukhari does ta'wil, and you quietly leave it out. So what is your opinion of Imam Bukhari, who did ta'wil? Will you make takfir on Imam Bukhari because he, according to you, denied Allah's attributes? If you would just sit and think about that right there, that's just one example. We can give you hundreds of examples of stuff like this being done. Hey, Imam Ameen is in the building. Us meaning Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. They only go by what Albani says and how he grades them. All right, so who can real quick put down 1, 2, 3 tafweed and 1, 2, 3 ta'wil real quick? Sarah, you still there?
Yep.
You can answer now. You're off punishment. We're going to make Issa go in the corner now. Issa a little bit too smart. Then after him, Sufyan going to go in the corner. We're going to run this like schools in the hood. If you're intelligent and you display academic and scholastic excellence, we're going to ridicule you, make mockery of you. In the hood, we downplay and we turn intelligence into something negative. Affirm, negate, stop, tafweed. Affirming, negating, attributing. You ain't tell us what you talk about, Anissa. Affirm, negate, take scholarly context, tafweed. Recite, confirm, give meaning to Allah alone. Tafweed. Recite, confirm, and use the letter T. That's what Abdurrahim said. No, hold on, right here. Use the letter T, Abdurrahim. That's what we do. That's what top wheel is. Recite it, confirm it, and use T. That's what I said. Affirm the attribute. Don't interpret, negate any unbefitting meanings. That's tafweed. Alhamdulillah. Somebody do what Nathar did with tafweed, inshallah. Oh, typo. So tafweed is recite, confirm, and use a typo. I'm just messing with you, Abdurrahim. Who's smarty pants, Anissa? I'm just looking for one person to answer. The more people answer, the better. So it don't matter who answered first. Brahim said I wasn't a typer. I'm a keyboard pecker. So what? You remember Ameen's a keyboard pecker. He make it happen every morning. he said all of the best vibes. Recite, 2, affirm, 3, leave the meaning to Allah. Tafweed. Affirm, right, negate, leave the meaning to Allah. Tafweed. Affirm, negate, scholar gets popular. Alhamdulillah. Samira, how I look now?
You look the same like you did before, frozen in time.
The internet didn't get any better?
La.
No, I'm just checking because, tomorrow the Black Imams Roundtable start at 7 o'clock. It's almost 7 o'clock now, so I'm just seeing. Know what I'm saying? Or as Issa says, yummy, yummy. It's almost 7 o'clock, and 24 hours from now, Black Imams Roundtable, yummy. I mean, Samira?
Yeah, I mean, if you just sit there and smile and just sit there with a smile, and well, regardless whether it freezes or not, it'll just look like you just sitting there smiling. So you can do that.
So we've been going for an hour and about 20 minutes. So alhamdulillah, that was our review from last week. Alhamdulillah. And so for the rest of the week, inshallah, we'll be getting into the last 3 of the 13 attributes, necessary attributes of divine Allah's divine essence. Alhamdulillah. Are there any comments or questions? Or are there any definitions or things that we covered already since we started this book that you may have missed or didn't catch? Alhamdulillah. We have to be persistent. This is, I kind of sort of had this in mind, and I posted my stat earlier about, like, a lot of us just be wanting to know the answer to stuff, or just want the conclusion, the end result. Sometimes it's important to understand how someone got to that understanding. See, most of them and most of us don't know how. We just on opposite sides of the fence yelling at each other and calling each other names and accusing each other of certain things. Like, for example, I asked you all the question about the Wahhabis and their stance on Ta'wil, because they will accuse you of denying Allah's attributes. And you'll be looking with a crazy face like, what? I just said we affirm the attribute. And a lot of us don't realize that just by you doing Ta'wil, in their mind, you're denying the attribute. And I also want to highlight something that we learned from Ameen. And it's a real subtle point. Most, Samira, can you type this? Most of the Salaf did Ta'wil. Excuse me, that was a slip of the tongue. Most of the Salaf did Tafweed. Most of the Salaf did Tafweed, comma. Some of them did Ta'wil, period. Most of the Khalaf did Ta'wil. Some of them did Tafweed. Did you catch that? Khalaf, you have to put an H after the K. We know what you mean. So don't let anyone come along and tell you, oh, the Salaf didn't do Ta'wil. We just gave it to you. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find it very quick. Hopefully it won't take long. The example we use. The Book of Tafsir is volume 6. Book of Tafsir is volume 6. Sahih Bukhari. Sahih al-Bukhari. Can y'all hear that donkey? Donkey bag. So if you all are looking for that Sahih Bukhari, volume 6, the Book of Tafsir. Ooh, he said he thought that was Easter making noise. That was kind of low. Yours is on page 278. Mine is on page, I'm looking at my PDF one. Mine is on page 254. Alhamdulillah. Any questions? Okay, I guess that's it, inshallah. May Allah reward all of you for attending class, and may Allah increase all of you in beneficial knowledge, increase you all in sincerity, increase you in practice, and bless you with the ability to communicate it to others. May Allah bless our reader and my support. Alhamdulillah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.